From the demise of Lehman Brothers, the Wall Street bank that many say presaged the entire collapse, virtually, of the way the system of finance was run. Restoring faith in the banking system is proving to be a very slow and a very painful business. Many are steeply and deeply uncertain about whether the world has learned from the chaos caused by Lehman's collapse. And whilst Lehman Brothers emerged from Chapter 11 in 2012, the legacy still lingers on for those who looked on in horror at the collapse of the life they knew.
This was from an event we did at the Deepdale Country Club. By mistake, they put my name on all the hats, so I have about 50 of these at home.
Life after Lehman is a little quieter for David Ambinder. When the bank collapsed, he was Senior Vice President of Business Support Services. He now runs a Handyman franchise in New Jersey.
I just couldn't even conceive of it. I just felt like, this is too strong of a firm to ever go down.
That day in 2008 changed his life overnight.
For the first time in my life, I didn't have a paycheck, which was shocking for me because I've had paychecks since I was 12.
Breaking news. Wall Street on red alert this morning after a giant investment bank files for bankruptcy.
Giant is right. This was the largest bankruptcy in U.S. history. Markets around the world plummeted, with the Dow falling 500 points in a single day. The Washington spin machine whirred into action.
I'm confident that our capital markets are flexible and resilient and can deal with these adjustments.
In the weeks that followed, Bush was proved wrong. By October, he had signed a bill paving a way for a $700 billion rescue package, the Trouble Asset Relief Program, or TARP.
We had this responsibility to set up this office, this oversight office, and it was just me and a friend who came down with me from New York as two former prosecutors.
Neil Borofsky was a New York securities fraud prosecutor. He was given the job of overseeing TARP. Was TARP the right thing to do?
Something like TARP was the right thing to do. Too big to fail is a truism. Those banks were too big, they were too interconnected, and they were going to fail absent an enormous government intervention.
TARP helped stop the disease from spreading. The next job was to try and cure it.
Because of this reform, the American people will never again be asked to foot the bill for Wall Street's mistakes. There will be no more taxpayer-funded bailouts, period.
2 years later, and President Obama signed the Dodd-Frank law to reduce risk-taking and tighten regulation on Wall Street. Many of the rules have yet to be implemented. Mr. Obama continued.
And there will be new rules to end the perception that any firm is too big to fail.
When Lehman failed, it had assets worth $639 billion. Compare that to its rivals today, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and JP Morgan. Partly as a result of mergers, all have 2 or 3 times that.
I think that what annoys me more than anything else is that we just had this incredible amount of evidence that this universal global banking system with giant undercapitalized banks doesn't work. That it drives the global economy into crisis, and it's the people at the bottom who get absolutely pummeled by it.
Back at the Handyman office in New Jersey, there's a similar feeling.
It doesn't seem to me like the changes are drastic enough to prevent people to be incentivized to take extraordinary risks.
For David Ambinder, though, the collapse had a silver lining.
I used to walk up the escalators to the World Trade Center, and so I always thought about what kind of business I wanted to own. And the reality is that maybe I never would have done it. Lehman was the catalyst to really push me over the cliff.
And if you had any doubt that what happened at Lehman Brothers continues to this